From Kenan Stadium in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, this is Tar Heel Illustrated.com. I'm THI staff writer Jacob Turner, and joining me on the Kenan Stadium turf once again, our very own publisher, Andrew Jones. I'm about to say, man, it feels good. It feels good to be back here.
A little more normalcy.
We're getting there, obviously full capacity crowd here today. Wasn't quite sold out.
Still had to wear this in the press box.
Yeah, I'm about to say, still had to wear those up in the press box. We're getting there, slowly and steadily, baby steps, as they say. With Carolina coming out with a 59-17 win over Georgia State. I think the first place we have to start, like we do, if you guys have followed along with these videos over the years, when Carolina tends to win a game big, we usually tend to start with Sam Howell, because that's usually the place you have to start, right? Yeah. And I thought he was sensational again, over 350 passing yards, over 100 rushing yards. Really good performance from him again, and I think we saw today why he came into the season as a potential Heisman candidate, because I thought he was outstanding. And
he was really good in the first half. A lot of people are going to focus on the third quarter when they had 279 yards, 21 points. He had the 62-yard touchdown run, which we'll get to in a second. But he was actually really good in the first half. Missed on a couple throws. It's going to happen. The offense was kind of sputtering. They were not very good up front, and Sam had to make stuff happen. He was getting hit a lot more in the first half, I think, than most people that are watching this video, if you're a Carolina fan, wanted to see.
Yeah.
But I think you also have to understand that right now, until the running game gets straightened out, that's going to be part of their offense. Mack actually said after the game that his two best Texas teams had Colt McCoy and Vince Young running the ball a lot. It was a crucial part of what they did. And he said great dynamic offenses usually have a quarterback that's doing that because of what it does to the defense. And Sam's first touchdown right over here, that was a pass play, it broke pretty quickly. There was no containment because Georgia State's not thinking Sam's running this thing in for 22 yards. I think other teams might keep an eye on him a little more moving forward. But he became just the second Carolina player ever tonight to throw for 300 and run for 100 in a game. The other one was Marquise Williams. I was there, Notre Dame in 2014.
Remember that game?
Marquise was awesome that day, which, by the way, is still the highest scoring game ever played in Notre Dame Stadium.
It's a wild stat,
50 to 44. And that was the Schottmer game. Jeff Schottmer's pick six. He still has it on his Twitter page.
He's got to.
I hope he keeps it forever.
He'll never let that die. No, absolutely.
But Sam was phenomenal tonight. I mean, that run over here, I mean, he kind of made a joke afterward. I think Adam Smith asked him, did you think someone was just going to pull you down at some point? He kept saying, I was waiting to be tackled. Just kept running. Next thing you know, here's the end zone, 62-yarder. There were a couple really good blocks. I thought the receivers blocked well downfield a couple of times tonight, and that's been a staple of this program the last couple of years. We saw that certainly on that play. But look, great players sometimes step up, and when other things aren't working that great, they put them on their shoulders and they lead them to a victory. In football, you see it in basketball a lot. In baseball, sometimes you see a guy hit a couple jacks and they win a game and they only get 8 hits, but he's got like two bombs and a double that drives in a run. Sam kind of had that night tonight. He had a couple of home runs, a couple of RBI doubles, and made a couple of great plays in the field kind of thing. He was really, really good, and he had to be really, really good for them to get their mojo, which they eventually got. But I think 2 weeks in, we saw what happened last week when Sam was off a little bit. We saw what happened tonight when he was on, and disregard the opponent because, as I said during the week, in the video that we did, and in the column that I wrote, and I kept telling people on the boards, look at how they play. Look at the efficiency of what they do. Look at how connected it is what they do. I thought Sam and the receivers were far more connected tonight. He was hitting different guys. Downs ended up with 8 receptions, but a lot of those came kind of after they were really starting to pour this thing on. Antoine Green, incredible play down there. He made 2 great catches early.
Fantastic catch.
That was a physical play, but Sam put it the only spot he could catch the ball. So credit both of them for a great play there. Sam was sensational tonight. He tonight was the Heisman Trophy guy we were talking about 2 weeks ago. So he's kind of balanced out the first performance in this one. Next week will be the real deal because a much better team's coming in here, and perhaps the most physical team that they'll play all year is coming in here. A lot of stuff needs to get fixed, but Sam Howell, based on tonight and what we've seen really for 27 games, he's going to be fine. Last week was an aberration. He'll be fine.
Yeah, it's honestly, before we move on, it's even kind of a little bit weird at times to see him running as much as he has, because we haven't really seen that in the past. I know it's been kind of to protect him. I know he's used his legs in the past here, but he's running a lot.
To me, it's where's the balance in unnecessary hits?
Definitely.
Because he's going to get hit. He got sacked twice tonight, but he was hit a bunch of times.
Yeah, he was.
And he was hit. I mean, they were going after him, and a couple times he went down one time after releasing the ball, a little slow getting up, and I was watching him, and I thought, He's got 11 runs, 2 sacks, but he probably got hit 6 or 7 other times, pretty hard right after getting rid of the ball. So that's about 18 to 20 times he was hit tonight. I don't think you want that when you're playing Georgia State.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely.
If you have to have that next week to beat Virginia, then you take it. You don't really want that against Georgia State. So the things that led to some of those unnecessary hits need to be fixed. That's kind of a little bit what we're going to talk about here.
Definitely. Let's hit on the second thing. I thought it was an interesting game in some way. I thought Carolina started really hot in the first quarter. I thought the offense in particular looked really good. I thought defense, I think just the energy level was really high, and I think you obviously get that being in front of the crowd for the first time. I thought Carolina was playing with a lot of energy. Second quarter kind of dipped a little bit, and that kind of led into halftime where I know Carolina, they played okay, but it let kind of Georgia State creep back into the game. I know after the first quarter was done, I was like, Carolina might pull away with this and end this before halftime. That's not what happened, but second half, completely different story. I think you said score on the first 6 possessions of the second half, which is pretty amazing, and then you never really looked back after that. So I think we really saw, particularly on offense, how good Carolina can be in that second half. But I mean, still a little bit of room for improvement in a lot of ways because they're, defensively and offensively, particularly during that second quarter, I thought there was some plays that, I think both sides of the ball would like to have back.
Well, the field goal that they had, that was a 4-play, 0-yard drive. They took possession at the 19, were unable to capitalize. Sam was hitting on some of those plays. I still don't think the offense was that great in the first half because their conventional running was bad.
Yeah,
they weren't getting anything out of it. Even one time when Chandler converted on a third down or the fourth down, I can't remember which, he was hit behind the line of scrimmage, but it was his second effort that got the first down. I mean, he was hit as soon as he got the ball. I'm not disrespecting Georgia State at all, but North Carolina, with all the experience it has back on the offensive line, you got to at least plow 2 yards there.
And there was a size difference, too. You looked at Georgia State versus Carolina. I mean, it was a size difference.
Yeah, and I think maybe there were times Georgia State played low really well in the gaps, and that's kind of tough for big guys, but you got to be able to handle that.
Definitely.
So there's really no excuse for that. They did fix some things. And by the way, the defense gave up that 17-play touchdown drive. Georgia State had 5 first downs, and they converted a 4th down on a 4th and a long 1. And the running back it was just a dive play, and he got like 2.5 yards, 3 yards on the play. That just wasn't a great possession. And so what's really interesting, and I'll get to exactly what you asked about here in a second, there's a lot, you win 59-17, there's a lot of things on film for the staff to kind of focus on. You got to fix this, and this on defense. There were some wide open receivers. The ball was high. There were some drops. I mean, they got to clean some of that up. And the defense on that certain drive. But they did fix some things. They did make adjustments on defense second week in a row. Were much, much better after that. And the offense did make adjustments too. They did have some better conventional runs in the second half. Certainly enough to allow the passing game to flourish. And I think that might be what this team is. It's not Javonte and Michael running for 534 yards against Miami kind of stuff. If you can just run well enough with the conventional ground game and just let Sam be a superstar and let the receivers come into their own, and Antoine Green took a step forward in that respect tonight.
Yeah, great catch.
I think that's how this team's going to win games. So the value in what they did tonight in pulling away was they made adjustments. I asked Mac about that. The young kids on this team there's such a discrepancy between the old guys who've been through so much and the really talented young guys who just haven't been around much, right? They haven't played much, they haven't seen much. The value in them seeing these adjustments that are made in the course of the game work, see them pay off on both sides of the ball because they were better offensively last week in the second half, much better defensively in the second half last week, and I think the same thing goes for tonight as well. The second quarter, they had 3 3-and-outs on defense. And they had 279 yards and 21 points on offense. So those kids saw that. They see the value of the teaching, the importance of adjustments, the importance of going back and telling your position coach, this is what's going on out there, so they know what to fix. So I think there was a lot learned, and in the process, they're able to put their foot on the throat and pull away. Georgia State's not a great team. They're not a wretched team. This isn't an FCS team. But I think to pull away the way they did in a game that was a little bit of a tussle and maybe should have been a little closer at halftime says a lot about what they were able to do.
Definitely, yeah, I couldn't agree more. Last thing I want to talk about real quick before we wrap this one up, before we get kicked off this field more than likely. Good win for the program. It's a good win to get Carolina back on track after kind of a subpar performance at Blacksburg. Disappointing loss. Now it moves on to UVA. That's kind of the look ahead at where this team's going. Definitely going to have to play better than they did this week, I think. In different respects, to beat UVA, who's coming in as a very physical team, like we've talked about a little bit off camera, a really solid team as well that, just destroyed Illinois today. So, definitely going to be a hard game, but I think today, get the win, put up a lot of points, defense played well for most of the game. I think it's a good step forward.
they will be as well scouted going into next week by an opponent as will be the case all year long. Bronco Mendenhall and the staff are really good at that. So you feel good. You get a win. It's a lot better to go into film room and do the stretching and stuff they're going to do tomorrow after a win.
Definitely.
There's enough stuff on film for them to say, okay, guys, there's like 6 things here on defense, about 9 things here on offense, or whatever it is. I'm just throwing numbers out there.
You're not lying.
And this is what we got to get better at. And they got to get better conventional running. This team has 13 runs through 2 games of 10 or more yards. Sam has 8 of them.
Mm-hmm. That's a wild stat.
That is the ultimate greatest stat and worst stat ever combined at the same time. It's great that Sam is able to use his wheels. He's got great vision. He's quicker. He's faster. He's worked so hard at improving his body and improving that part of his game. So it's good that they know that that's there when they need it. But they need more. They can't rely on that. You cannot get him popped out there like we were saying a few minutes ago. So there's plenty to work on, but they're going to feel really good coming into the football center tomorrow morning and doing what they got to do and putting this game to bed and moving ahead toward UVA. 59 points in a night the offensive line wasn't great. 59 points on a night where your conventional running game wasn't very good. That goes to show you how explosive this group can eventually be. And remember, we're just 2 games in to a 12-game regular season. The most important games are still to be played. So if they can make the midweek adjustments up front on the offensive line and become a better than average conventional run team, I think we're going to see this club win a lot of football games and eventually morph into something similar to what a lot of people projected before the season.
Definitely, yeah. Good win for the Tar Heels tonight, 59-17 over Georgia State here in Kenan Stadium. Real quickly before we wrap it up, what was it like to be back here again in a full stadium?
I just like normalcy. I love seeing people happy. I went down and met a few people. I had arranged ahead of time at the press elevator, and people I haven't met before and stuff like that. Just wanted to come say hello and just seeing people happy walking around. I'm coming to the stands and I smell alcohol in the stands, and I'm like, you know what? That's actually a great thing.
That's the smell of normalcy.
As long as those people weren't driving home, that's a great thing because we need this.
Yeah.
It's just football. It's just college football. If this goes away, the sun still comes up tomorrow, and all of our life responsibilities still exist. I would just have to feed my family a different way than covering this stuff. But it was great to have people here. It was great to see the band. It was great to see the dance team and the student section packed, and the basketball team over here in the blue zone, and recruits here, and
even saw LT. Yeah, LT, I even got a little chance to see him pretty close.
He was the one guy in the stands wearing a mask.
Yeah, I know. And they showed him on the Jumbotron. I thought that was
great.
Interesting.
And if you were here and you had a chance to experience this, we used to take stuff for granted.
Yeah.
I know we did. Last year I covered stuff in front of empty stadiums.
Yeah, it was weird.
Bizarre.
It was very weird.
We've talked about it a lot before. So I'm so glad 50,000. I don't think it was 50,000 here tonight.
Yeah, probably.
Well, a lot of people here. 45,000 or so were here and got a chance just to be normal. And so kudos to life for that.
Definitely. Big win for the Tar Heels tonight over Georgia State. I've been Jacob Turner. He's been Andrew Jones. As always, guys, for any post-game coverage that you want after this game, head on over to TarHeelIllustrated.com and keep it locked to our YouTube channel, Tar Heel Illustrated. You can see all the post-game interviews over there as well. And like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know every single time we upload. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Thanks.